The U.S. has released new guidelines for visas that could expand President Donald Trump's travel ban even further and may even have consequences for South Africans who plan to travel to America. Now, countries are required to meet these guidelines within 50 days or risk facing a travel ban. We're joined via Skype now by immigration lawyer, and that's Gary Eisenberg. Mr. Eisenberg, thank you very much for joining us. Talk to us about these guidelines, some of what they are and what the implications may be.
Well, of course, I haven't read the cable. This is a diplomatic cable that was sent by the State Department, all diplomats at consular missions throughout the world. This is all based on, of course, the executive order that was signed some time ago and went through the mill of the Supreme Court of the United States, 13780. And I think for South Africans, it means principally that all South Africans must have biometric passports when applying for US visas. These must be scan readable. We've got the Swiss standard, which we adopted in 2009. So I don't think from a passport perspective, we are particularly out of line. I think what the cable does try to do is to empower officials at consular missions with a far greater discretion to determine the criminal history of each individual applicant, and that discretion was not used particularly widely in the past.
Do you foresee, therefore, perhaps South Africa not taking kindly to this kind of stringent requirement, if you will? Or do you perhaps think that South Africa may not necessarily see it as a big threat, really, because, as you say, our biometric requirements really do meet these guidelines, and so it's not going to be a big thing? Or is it going to be a bit of a mess, maybe?
Well, looking at the photograph of the G20 leaders at the recent summit, seeing President Zuma not standing far away from President Trump, I get the impression that our presidency, our cabinet is well aware of the new policy adopted by the Trump administration, which is a very clear anti-terroristic stance. And this executive order is based on not allowing terrorists into the United States. South Africa has traditionally been known as a safe haven for Al-Shabaab terrorists and others, Al-Qaeda cells hiding in South Africa. And within 50 days of the 26th of June, I understand, South African authorities must turn over all its information to the United States administration about terrorists and individuals with any links to terrorist cells in this country. Now, I don't understand what the South African official stance on that is. I understand that South Africa shares this type of information at certain levels with its United States counterparts. So I don't see any vastly different implications of this cable for South Africans trying to get visas now than as it was in the past.
It would seem, though, that, Mr. Eisenberg, the U.S. visa questionnaire, which by and large is voluntary, it would seem that with the new guidelines coming into force, if you don't fill out that voluntary questionnaire, you possibly may be rejected. Am I off the mark here, or does this indeed form part and parcel of this new regiment?
Well, you're speaking about the Form 55. This is a new form. The United States government has obtained a lot of comment and criticism from throughout the world from commentators. When a South African goes to an American consular mission to apply for a visitor visa, non-immigrant visa, the attitude and the disposition of the examiners, of the adjudicators who will interview, will be stricter. No doubt, a great deal of time will be spent on drilling down further on the history and the character of each individual. Now, South Africans have traditionally complained that a whole group of us were excluded from the non-immigrant visa pool. A lot of South Africans have been denied United States visitor visas in the past, and I think the level of scrutiny and the level of denial will increase. And I think if there's any conclusion to be drawn from this latest cable, it's that.
Thank you very much. That was immigration lawyer Gary Eisenberg joining us via Skype there.